And we're live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to, well, I suppose it's not intending to be a regular series, but I think it might end up actually being a regular series. So I will say probably welcome back to the Vaults of Iacon. Just give me a moment. I've got someone talking in my ear, and it's myself. It's very, very unprofessional of me. So anyway, yes, good evening. Tonight I am joined by Matt from Kraken Creations. I will be bringing him on in a minute. And all I can say is if you're into vintage Action Force, amazing custom accessories and figures, if you like modern collecting lines, and a healthy dose of 1980s home computers, you are definitely in the right place. We've got plenty to chat about this evening. And then towards the end, I'll be taking questions from you guys out there. So if you've got any questions you want to ask us as we go along, pop them in the chat and I'll scroll back to them and we'll get round to them later on. So I think that's enough of that. So all I can say is welcome to Out of the Vault Live, and we'll see you after this. And here we are. Good evening, Matt.
Hello. How are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
Splendid, sir. Splendid. Thank you for joining me this evening.
No, thank you. Thanks for hosting me on. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, no worries. So, just for people out there, do you want to just briefly give a quick introduction of yourself? I mean, we will get round to more in depth later on, but just give them a brief introduction, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, so my name's Matt. I had a Action Force collection as a kid, kind of my main toy line, apart from some Lego, and then rediscovered it at university, and kind of been collecting a little bit ever since. And when I joined Blood for the Baron, there were lots of people, not just collecting, but kind of making new things with it, with the figures, simple head swap or some paint applications or spraying vehicles, that kind of thing. So I started customizing and then kind of grew into 3D printing and kind of creating my own little additions and little alternate pieces for vehicles and figures as well. Yeah.
Cracking stuff. Now, for people who may follow me, they hopefully will have seen the collector's archive that we did. It's almost a year ago now, is that? And that was part of Series 5, and it was Episode 5. So if you want to know more about what Matt does and his background in collecting and customizing, if you want to go and watch that, that is in a playlist, Collector's Archive Season 5 playlist. You can watch that and you can get up to speed. Obviously not now, because you need to be here now, listening to us giving it lobster claws about all things Action Force and so forth. Right, so now that's out of the way, I think we should jump onto our first topic, which is Order of the Crimson Moon. Yeah.
Amazing.
So, what's your first impressions of it, Matt?
They're amazing. I saw them. I missed the first wave. Really annoyed with me. Or first release. Sorry, not the first wave. Really annoyed with myself that I missed out, and then just couldn't believe it. Obviously, saw they re-released them. Put a big pre-order in for pretty much everything, and then was just sat. It's like kind of when you send off for something as a kid and you've got to wait 28 days for your little toy to come through the post or something like that. It was just, eagerly waiting for them to come. And then absolutely waiting for something so long, sometimes you open it and there's a little bit of disappointment, maybe, or you're looking at something and you're like, oh, okay. There was none of that. Absolutely none of it. It's brilliant. I love it. Can't fault it at all. Well, one tiny little fault, but I'm not going to go to that. But no, its quality's brilliant. The sculpts are brilliant. Paint application is brilliant. Yeah, and they've just really captured that kind of Palitoy look and feel. To be honest with you, just on the bigger scale.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can't disagree with you there. I was kind of like, when I first saw them, I thought, yeah, I think I want a bit of that. But with it being, because it was initially a Kickstarter, wasn't it? I think that's how they got the ball rolling with them. And I was initially a bit hesitant because I was like, what's the quality going to be like? You know, are they going to be any good? I mean, I'd not had any experience with other figures of that, I'll say ilk, if you will, like the actual action force stuff. Is it the Valaverse stuff? And you know, I'd no experience with that. The closest I'd had really was Mythic Legions, but Mythic Legions have been going a good long time now. I have some of those products, and they're amazing, fantastic. The quality is really, really high. But it was just a case of the nostalgia and the pull for the Action Force was just too much. So I thought I'm just going to bite the bullet on it, and you know we'll deal with it when it comes. And when they came, yeah, I wasn't disappointed. I thought they were I thought they were fantastic. But getting ahead of ourselves a little bit when we talk about quality, we'll get onto that a bit later. So out of the batch that you've got so far, have you a particular favourite one? Is there a favourite figure you've got out of the wave yet?
Red Shadow. I think the Red Shadow is the one. It's got to be. I mean, yeah, I think, you know, Iron Blood and Black Major, sorry, I don't know the real names in the Crimson Moon series, Count whatever he is. But
Count Iron Moon.
Count Iron Moon, sorry, sorry to Iron Moon for getting his name wrong.
No, but I mean, to be fair, we know it's the Baron.
Yeah,
it's you know it's.
But yeah, I mean, it would be kind of fairly easy or hard to get those wrong, really. I suppose, you know, the Major and Baron. With the Red Shadow, I think we've seen kind of a few Red Shadow figures, like, you know, 3 3/4 inch scale, I guess, and 4 inch scale necessarily. So I think that's a lot harder to get right. So yeah, I think they absolutely nailed it, and they didn't just slavishly copy the design. It's just obviously a Red Shadow, and yeah, by far the favorite, I think.
Yeah. Again, I think I have to agree with you. I mean, I think the Red Shadow is, you know, the best of the lot. But I do also like the Baron. And I think that what they've done with the Baron, giving him kind of like a jacket rather than, because the original Palitoy figure, it looks like he's wearing like a onesie kind of thing, you know, on the figure. Whereas that, with it, because it has like a separate jacket and that, I think it makes it work real well. And like with the Black Major, Major Noir, the long trench coat thing, that just really works. You know, it gives it that 1930s, 1940s Germany military kind of aesthetic to it, you know, which I think really does fit with those figures. You know,
kind of like imagine it sweeping as he's turning away, barking orders and walking away from Sol. Kind of like a cape. You could just imagine him kind of barking orders at some Red Shadows and walking away, and it's swooshing behind him, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. What I'll do is I will bring up some because I've got some photos to show. I'll bring those up. There we go. I hope everyone can see that. So this is the these are the ones that I have at the moment. So this is like a lineup. This is pretty much this is pretty much all the figures that we get in Wave 1, isn't it? Bar the figure that's actually just called Crimson Moon. The hooded figure, which I suppose takes its inspiration from Cobra Commander. Which is an interesting choice, putting that figure in there with these ones that are inspired by Action Force. I mean, I know when we get later onto the comic, there is that whole thing about the Baron becoming Cobra Commander, but that was mainly just for the UK comics. So yeah, those are what we've got there at the moment on the lineup. And then if I just bring this one up, we've then got this, which is Actually, I've got it on the. My apologies. I've got it on the. That's it. I was cutting half the image off, so we can see there the inspiration, side by side, which I think they've done. They have done. They've done a really good job. I think. No complaints there. And they also, as well. I'll show you this one as well. Excuse me. They just seem to fit in really great with the classified series as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I mean, I want to redo that photo again. To be fair, with trying to put a bit of a background in there rather than it just being a bare bones, because I think it's just. I think the caption that I put with this was something like "No one's to know of your existence until the plan comes to fruition," or something like that. You know, kind of laying the seeds that he already knows that he's going to, you know, convert into Cobra Commander, yeah. But he's keeping the Crimson Guard, you know, in the shadows for now. You know, I mean, the Crimson Guard's a fantastic figure anyway. But yeah, so that's
he's a great figure.
So staying with the sculpting, then I know you mentioned about the coat and things like that for Major Noir. I mean, is there anything particular that does work for you or doesn't work?
I think if I was only gonna I did kind of point my finger when I was talking about them, kind of one little slight niggle. I suppose of all the figures, I think Red Laser for me is a little bit. His head sculpt isn't how I'd kind of want it to be. I suppose, you know, it's a little bit like. I don't know if anyone, you know, Action Force collectors will kind of know about the resculpt Red Shadows, where you've got the original sculpt, the Red Shadow, and then you've got a slightly later release who's a little bit shorter. He's got Cuban heels on. Yeah. He's got a bit of an odd shaped mask, kind of called a Doofus figure, Doofus Shadow, something like that. It looks a little bit like that kind of looks like maybe I suppose it's a bit Deadpool. Looking at it now in that picture, it looks.
Yes, actually, it does. Yeah. I think it does. I think probably what's done it is just. Yeah, I think it's the black around the eyes. I think the black around the eyes is too big, and it extends too far up towards the helmet. I think if it had been kind of like just a black band, it may have worked a little bit better.
Yeah, just a totally smooth sculpt on the head, you know, like it is in the original. Because it's maybe a bit boring, but I think it would have been a lot better. I do like what the shadow logo though coming down over the head. I quite like that rather than the triangle. It's kind of I do like that a lot.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, we know that the original Red Laser was just a recolor of the Cobra Commander.
Yeah,
but it works. It really does work. I think. Yeah, I mean, sculpt wise. For me personally, I think I share the one about the Red Laser or Exterminator as it's called. The other one really is Wolfsbane. Let's just get a picture up of him. It's just a little bit too robotic looking for me.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still like it. I still think it looks good, but there is just rather than it looking like someone that's wearing a mask, it looks like it's a cyborg.
Yeah,
and I think that's just one thing that, again, it's not enough to put me off.
No, I still like him. He's a little bit Cybernaut, maybe, although the Cybernauts in the Avengers were a bit more plain-faced than that. But yeah, he's a bit more robotic than I think. You know, essentially it should be a mask, shouldn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I think really that's it. I mean, I don't have any other issues really sculpt-wise. I mean, other than that, they're just pretty much nailed on. I think they're just nailed on.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Or is
I can't really muster up.
No, the Wolfsbane, it's just hit me now. Is it Superman 3 with Richard Pryor in, where the lady gets sucked into the machine and made into a robot?
Yes, it is, yeah.
It reminds me, terrified me as a kid, but yeah, it just reminds me of that, just looking at it again now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. When she gets, when she gets all the cables and that wrap around her,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
when she comes out and she just, yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah. See, I can't unsee that now. Yeah, cheers for that one, Matt. That's
No problem.
that's got one. And I suppose we have to talk about accessories as well. I mean, I think they do come with a decent accessory loadout.
Yeah.
I'm not over keen on the wolf parts, but I understand why they are there. I suppose it's a double purpose, really. I think it's to get round that whole, you know, a copying, like
Yes.
copying what's come before. But also as well, I think it serves a double purpose as well because I think isn't this Crimson Moon stuff supposed to be an extension of the Monster Force, which Fresh Monkey Fiction already
I
do?
think so. Yeah. Because I'm not sure of the accessories. I'm not sure what already existed really, I suppose, and what they've just reused from other figures, or what is brand new. To be honest, I've not really followed it that closely. I'm a bad fan, sorry, just sucking at the Red Shadow stuff. But yeah, I'm guessing some of it is just repurposed from other figures that they've done.
Yeah, well, I think on the Monster Force side, they've previously used. I don't have a separate photo of it, which is odd. I should have done. But the Noir Elite Guardsman,
Okay.
the helmet and that, because I think they did they did one on all, but I think the suit is slightly different. But then they also did one that I think it has like a flamethrower or something with it,
Oh, okay.
and I think you can swap out. So that
Yeah.
head sculpt we have seen before, but it is a different badge that's on the
Mhm.
top of the helmet. But accessory wise, like weapons and things like that, the troopers are a bit sparse. They just get a I was going to say AK-47, but it's not an
I was
AK-47. It's
yeah.
the
I was going to wait for you to say the proper name.
yeah, it's the ST. What is it now? It's the STG-40, is it or something? No,
You
42.
told me the other day. I just bowed to your
I
knowledge
did,
on
yeah. I did. I told you the other day, but I've gone and forgot, and it's not on my notes. So, but yeah, it's a contemporary. Well, actually, it was one. It was the weapon that the Waffen SS used. So I think it's SPG 42. Is it something like that?
There's an STG 44 that looks a little bit like it. I think that might be the one.
That's I think that's it. Yeah, yeah, STG 44. Yeah. So yeah, so like I
Google
say,
it.
originally I thought it was an AK, but it's not. It is one of those, and I think for the Black Major and the Noir Elite Guard, I think that kind of works with them.
Mm.
Kind
Yeah.
of them being that elite kind of trooper and officer, and then the regular Red Shadow troopers, them having the MP40, which we'll get onto later because they don't come with that. They come with the one that we've just spoken to. But I think, I mean, they do come with a multitude of swap out hands as well. But I think the one that comes with probably the most, I say, unique accessories, I think is Wolfsbane, because he has the case and the like the internal, like, bio weapons or whatever they are, and like wrist attachments and things.
I do like the case. Yeah, it's really good with the little containers in there and everything. It's brilliant.
Yeah, because when I first saw those, I thought that's like what they have in The Rock, with Nicolas Cage when they're lifting like the bauble things out of the that's got all the bio weapon in. That it really reminded me of that. But I mean, is there any accessories you would have liked to have seen extra with them, or ones that you feel unnecessary?
I mean, I suppose I kind of went my own way with the accessories, didn't I? I guess.
Yeah.
I think the quality of them, what they did, was really, really good. I mean, the STG 44, I'm learning now. I think that looks really good. It's a really nice sculpt. I don't think I was so keen on the Baron pistol and the Wolfsbane pistol, really, to be honest with you. I thought if anything, I suppose they were the kind of weaker parts, if I had to choose a weaker part of the figures, really, I guess.
Yeah, the pistols. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've not looked, but I don't think they're actually modelled off any kind of real world weapon.
Yeah.
and then they're obviously some kind of maybe semi-automatic because they have like the cartridge going in the bottom as well. So yeah, I've not really looked into those, but I know again, we'll get to this later on when we speak about that. But I know we've spoken. Well, I maybe suggested some sidearms that would look quite nice with them. But yeah, so no. Quality wise, then I think we should probably talk about quality. I mean, how do you find the quality of them?
Really good. I've not
Yeah.
been. I kind of you see a lot of, well, not a lot, maybe quite a few posts on Facebook and things where people have got 6-inch, particularly because that seems to be the most popular kind of size at the minute. Where they're a bit afraid to move things are broken. You need to boil it in some water. I was ever afraid of doing anything with them. To be honest with you, I just, popped them out the box, ripped the heads off, got some pliers on the neck bits, pulled those off, pulled out the hands. Everything was just perfect, really, I suppose. I didn't ever feel like I was going to break anything. I've not felt like that. There's been no odd noises or anything. So yeah, I can't fault the quality.
No.
I don't know how the hazardous chemicals will affect me in 6 months or a year, but
Yeah. I mean, I put a post on Instagram. I took a photograph of the bottom of the box and I put it on Instagram, just basically because I just couldn't believe. I just thought, is this a piss take, or is this just kind of like the balls on these people to just basically say, look, there could be something in this, we don't know, but it'll be right, don't worry about it, kind of thing. I mean, my gut tells me they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Yes. I can't see anything being in them on that side that isn't in every other figure that we get, from these, I would say, smaller companies, like, Fresh Monkey Fiction, maybe, Valaverse and Mythic Legions. I can't imagine for a moment that there'd be anything like that in the, say, G.I. Joe classifieds. I mean, there may be, who knows? I don't know, but...
Yeah, I mean, I guess testing's expensive, and, you've got third-party suppliers for raw materials and things like that, so are they all tested and fully authenticated with whatever the standards are? Maybe not. I'm not, maybe that's just some corners they skipped, but I'm not saying there is anything bad in there. I think it's obvious that they weren't able to afford it, or were a bit worried about it, about some of the supply chain. I don't know. Maybe it's just that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think as long as you're not sat there sucking or chewing them, I think you'll probably be fine.
I did have a few hands in my mouth at some point while I was swapping the parts. I don't think it was too long.
Yeah. It'll be right. But yeah, so yeah, that was one I'd like to say. I just couldn't believe that. But again, quality wise, I'm the same. I've not had anything yet that's caused me any pause to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, or because normally, like on the Mythic Legion stuff, when I've got those, it does advise you to give them a bit of a warm bath first, just to loosen the joints up.
Yeah.
But I've not had to do that with these. These have just been basically good to go straight out of the box. The only thing I found to be really difficult to do is when swapping the head and pulling the neck out.
The neck, I got some pliers on mine and just kind of yanked it out. I was just
Yeah. Well, what I did was, the twist ties that are in the box. Oh, yeah. I just twisted it around the ball joint at the end and then just pulled, and it popped it right off. But like I say, that was a little bit stiff. But other than that, the arms pop out really well, which I think is a good feature because it allows you to pop and swap.
Yeah, I mean, I was messing around with my red laser, pulling the legs off, pulling the arms off, and things like that. No complaints at all. Everything just went really well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did it. I did a pop and swap with the Legionnaire. And ended up doing, you probably won't be able to see it very well, but I created myself a little red vulture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially it's just the trooper arms, leg, and head, but with the jacket from the Legionnaire. So it just because it doesn't have all the accessories on, like the cartridges and the knife and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it look like it's more suited to a driving role. within within that universe headcanon kind of thing. So yeah, so I did a quite it was a very, very simple custom, but I was really chuffed with myself. I thought, oh,
No,
that
he's
looks
good.
pretty good, does that? What would you like to see come from future waves then of the Crimson Realm?
Well, I think we saw a little bit of a sneak. I think we've seen it before, but we saw a picture at Joe Fest, which is kind of quite niche, even within Action Force and Red Shadows. I think they're releasing a Mamba Man.
Right.
So there was a Jungle Terror story in Battle Action Force in the weekly comic for Action Force, which had Red Shadows disguised as snake men. Kind of, they had hooded snake masks on,
right.
terrorizing local villagers, trying to get them to flee. And so I can't remember what the Baron was up to, but he was up to something, trying to take over or get some gold or something. So they're doing those. They look amazing. So I look forward to those. I don't know. I'd like a Muton. If they were going to carry on down the Red Shadow route. I don't know if I'd want a Kraken.
Right.
Because he's one of my they one of my favourite characters in the Action Force line.
I think it'd probably be an it, wouldn't it?
It. But I don't know if this scale is too realistic for me to kind of have them fit alongside. I can cope with a robot, cyborg, whatever, some kind of android. I don't know if they released it, I'd buy some. So they've got me. But yeah, I don't know if it would work. I mean, it would work, but I don't know if it in my kind of, we've all got our own little universes which these things fit into inside.
Yeah. It is quite interesting that I'd not actually considered or thought of it that way, thinking that a particular figure works in one scale but then not in another. And I'd not actually thought about that, because I think
I've got a little creature in the back lagoon kind of
figure.
So I mean, kind of obviously they've made a really nice job of that, but I don't know. It fits in with the realism. I think if they did it, I'd buy it, and I'm sure I'd twist my arm. I think it does. I'm sure I'd love it.
Yeah, I think that'd be the way I'd go. I think that's what I'd like to see. I'd like I said, the Muton, a Kraken. I would like to see a Kraken.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see a Skeletron as well.
Oh yeah. That's a good shout.
But I'm not entirely sure how they do it. I mean, I know we were discussing the other day. I forgot the name of they're doing the Robo Skull Mark II. Yeah, their Skeletron. It looks really nice, but it looks a bit too robotic.
Yeah.
And so I think I would like to see more of something like an animated skeleton rather than a cyborg kind of looking like that. Yeah, kind of akin to like the original, 3 3/4 inch figure.
And it would kind of fit in with their Monster Force kind of theme, I suppose, a little bit as well, wouldn't it? Some kind of proper, more skeleton, should I say?
Yeah.
Looking kind of creature.
Yeah, I mean, Fresh Monkey Fiction under Monster Force have actually done some skeletons.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a couple of years ago, and they're out of stock. They're out of stock because when I saw them, I thought, I wonder if I could find some, and maybe like if the arms will fit with those, because until you could get one, I mean, you could, take the Legionnaire, because it is half decayed and stuff, and maybe shove a skeleton arm or leg on it or something like that. But yeah, it's a curious one, is that the Legionnaire. I really don't understand why that's part of this wave or that's included with them.
Yeah.
I mean, have you had any thoughts? I mean,
No, I don't know. I mean, I kind of just stuck to my kind of core range of figures, I suppose, in terms of when I was looking at them. Avoided buying the figure just to get the helmet and that kind of thing, like a build a figure thing. So yeah, I stuck to my core and then kind of keep looking at getting a few more. And yeah, I suppose coming back to the bit about who else you'd like to see. I mean, if they were going to continue to expand the Action Force range, then I'd quite like to see some Z Force.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got kind of whether they do that because it's quite close to G.I. Joe, because we got Quarrel with the Classified series. Whether Classified goes into that in any depth. I mean, if they do, that would be amazing. I'd love it. Some if they did any more, because they've probably got, you know, figures they could remake, and you know, they could do a red laser themselves, couldn't they? That kind of thing. So quite nice. You know.
Yeah.
Decent cube.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with you on that one. I'd also like to see some SAS Force as well.
Yeah.
You know, just because, you know, as a kid, I still remember the Iranian embassy siege.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the first time I'd ever seen. I'd heard of the SAS, but never seen them. And then that was the first. I just thought they look cool. They are really cool.
Yeah.
You know, so when Action Force did the figure, which I don't think actually came out too long after that, because it was 82, I think it was, and I think the original Action Force was 82, and they did the SAS figure. And I think Action Man also did their SAS figure after that as well, you know, the suit. So, yeah, it was all we were talking about in the playground back then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would like to see them. I also forgot as well, we haven't mentioned Red Wolf.
True. That's a good shout, actually.
You know.
But that, yes, because, I mean, we got a Red Wolf from Skeletron, didn't we? But it wasn't really, it's a really nice figure, really great figure. But it's more of a Wild Weasel kind of Red Wolf, the, you know, Series 3 Red Wolf, I suppose, that we got. Or kind of a bit of a hybrid, really, I guess. So yeah, that'd be nice. You know, really big, kind of bulky helmet like the original figure. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah. Because again, like their Skeletron, their Red Wolf aesthetically really doesn't fit in with these.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just too different. The stuff that Skeletron are doing have more of that. They look more modern and a bit futuristic, where these are just firmly planted in that. I'll say 80s, but the 1930s, 1940s military look.
And not to play one against off the other, saying one's better than the other. I don't mean that. Skeleton did an amazing job with everything. Everything they've released. I love it. But these kind of also kind of take me back a little bit more to the Battle Action Force, where they kind of, the figures are much more heavy set, thick set figures, like they're ready for a battle, like they're ready for kind of a punch up. Where not that the Skeletron figures are slight or anything else like that, or skinny or anything, but you know, the Baron is particularly kind of that thick-looking figure when you look at him on the shelf. You know, that's what I quite like. Aesthetic.
Well, I mean, I think he's supposed to be like an older gent anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah, no, that fits. On my notes here, I've put recommendations, but I'll be honest with you, I can't remember why I've put that.
I mean, you come up with you give them some good ideas.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that one at that then, because I mean we're half an hour in, and I think we've probably tapped out on the Crimson Moon there.
Sure.
I suppose recommendations probably would be that, from my point of view anyway, if anybody is thinking of jumping on the line and starting to collect them, then yeah, I would 100%. I'd have no hesitations on recommending them. Kapow Toys were doing them, but they're now out of stock. I have emailed them to ask them if they will be getting any more stock in, and they're unsure at the moment about what they're going to do. Hopefully they will, because if not, then your only route for them is Big Bad Toy Store, and that's ordering from over in the States, which isn't an issue really. I mean, I've had 2 lots from them now. That my initial ones did come from Kapow, and what I found is that if you keep it to 3 figures, it stays under that 130 mark. So there's no import charges or custom charges, anything like that. It just goes through and everything's hunky dory. It just means that it could take a bit longer to get the things that you want to get, and it also keeps the price per figure down as well.
I think they're reasonably. I can't remember how much they are now, but I think they're a fair price, aren't they? As a fair price, as in a good price. I don't think they're ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, the $37. Well, $37.99.
Yeah,
which I don't think is for what they are. I don't think it's out. To be fair,
I mean, it's not a huge, it's not in Hasbro quantities or anything that they'll be selling. So I think it's really good. And if someone wants a figure and someone else wants a couple, you can always team up for the shipping and get them all sent over to an address here and send them over. Once you've done, for example.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I think that probably would work if you were doing it in a bigger bulk.
Like if you be worried about as it stands at the minute until it gets reduced to 0, like the EU maybe. But yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
It's just the duty threshold you need to worry about, obviously, just for the charges over 130 quid. But I think that'll probably come down to 0 at some point anyway. So it's going to be regardless of whatever it is.
Yeah. No, which would be good. Right. Well, before we move on to Action Force, I will just have a quick shufty through the chat. It's just basically I'll just scroll past everyone saying hello and things like that. But let me see now. Where are we now? I think I've scrolled too far down, haven't I? Let's see now. Yeah, so Martin was saying that he likes the look of the Crimson Moon figures. Dave, they cause him pain. He's not one for 6-inch figures. He much prefers the 3 3/4-inch stuff. So yeah, that kind of throws his scaling out a bit there. But he does admit that he would like them as they look fantastic. Buford, he's the same. He likes his Star Wars 3 3/4. I think the 6 inches and which it isn't. I do have a few 3 3/4-inch figures on the Action Force side. I have a few Star Wars ones left from childhood, and I love them dearly. I've got a lot of nostalgia surrounding them, but I think now older as an adult collector, I think I prefer the 6-inch still because you get more definition on them and there's more detail to them. Rather than with the 3 3/4, they can be a little bit smudgy. Let's say that's my way of describing it anyway. But I wonder what they would look like if they actually did them in 3 3/4. Do you know if they've any plans to do that, or do they already do them?
Well, they do the Eagle Force in 4-inch scale, really, I suppose. So it's kind of pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Almost. So yeah, I got the 4-inch scale releases where they did do a Kraken, or they called him Gorgills, and he kind of had more of a fishy kind of look, and he had a little fishbowl on his head. But they were really good. I really liked them. The only weird thing was the boots on, which was a little bit odd.
They've got what? Sorry.
The Kraken had boots on his feet. I don't know whether it was just to avoid them having to sculpt the feet or not. I don't know. It was a little bit odd.
Maybe just protect his webbing when he's on land.
Yeah, exactly. It might be like a mermaid kind of feeling like treading on glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Martin, he actually likes the whole Action Force figures done this way, not just the red shadows. Dave, but what about vehicles? Yeah, that's an interesting point. Do we think that Fresh Monkey Fiction will go down that route of doing vehicles, or do you think they'll just stick with the figures?
It's got to be some investment, hasn't it, in tooling and everything else and design for that. I don't know. I started off about 3 or 4 years ago making a 6-inch scale Shadow Track, but I got bored of that pretty quickly. That wasn't very much fun to do. But yeah, I mean, I'd love a Shadow Track or something in that scale. I mean, I guess we've got the Hyena, haven't we, really, with the classified Hiss?
Oh, yes, we do, yeah.
And then Hasbro are releasing the Escape Armor, I think, in red or crimson, should I say, as they call it.
They are, yes, indeed, yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Hasbro is the more likely route for the Joe stuff anyway, should I say.
Yeah, no, they do. Yeah, I surmised that Hasbro would repaint that snake armor in the red because it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't do it. But yeah, so I'm keeping my eye out for that. I will pre-order that. There's no two ways about it. But it would be Good evening, Ian. Thanks for popping in. It would be nice to see a 6-inch scale version of the original escape armor. You know, because I think it does look nice. Even at such a small scale, it looked nice, and I think it look nice at a bigger scale as well. But yeah, I'd completely forgot about the classified hyena that they did. Again, that
for the SAS Panther, which I kind of
yes, they have. Yeah. So I mean, that could be another one that they could revisit and do red.
Yeah.
For that, but yeah. So interesting stuff. Right. So we'll move on to Action Force then. So I'm just trying to think. Were you about for Action Force when it originally came out?
The Palitoy stuff, I caught it at the tail end when it was on
Right.
clearance, or mostly on clearance.
Yeah.
So there was a shop in Retford where I grew up. Apologies if I'd said this before when we spoke before. Called Crackers, which was like a discount store. They had like it's like a home, like a B&M or something, like a little small B&M, like independent owned. And went in one day and they had some Action Force figures in there, and I don't know why, I was just just ridiculously, desperately wanted some of these figures. So my mum did a head in for all the time we were wandering around town. And she gave me 50p to go and buy a figure. So yeah, I think the first stuff I saw in there was mainly Series 2. There's a little bit of Series 1. And then slightly later than that, there was some Series 3 stuff in there, and Series 3 started to be on clearance elsewhere. So yeah, I kind of came about at the end of it. It's proper retail life, should I say, really, I suppose, full price retail life.
Yeah.
But it just took over.
So back then, when you were getting them, what was again, some of this we have already been over on the Collector's Archive, but for people that haven't seen that, I thought I would just briefly touch on it here. What can you remember what the first Action Force figure was that you did pick up?
It was I not showing off. I kind of got a pretty vivid memory of most of the pickups that I got, because it wasn't that we'd get toys every week or something like that. You get every week, and it was kind of Christmas was the big thing for presents. So I got a fairly good memory of everything I kind of got and where it was. But yeah, the first one was Skip. So Stead Force Captain.
Right.
So got him and kind of just played with him pretty much solidly all day. Can remember sitting watching news rounds specifically, but kids TV, I guess, while I was having my tea, and he was sat on the mantelpiece just looking down at me, holding his gun in his kind of pose, which was amazing. Didn't let him alone.
I think that's the one that had the red beret, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the
I had that one, but it's interesting. Thinking back, I don't think I ever knew their actual individual names or the character names. It was just they were just soldiers, and the others were just the bad guys kind of thing. And like with the SAS, I had the SAS, with the gas mask on. And I had no idea they had a name. It was just an SAS soldier kind of thing,
Yeah, I mean, I wrote all mine down in a little book. So they had file cards on the back, which you could have. I don't know why I didn't do this, because I remember writing them all down in a book, and my handwriting was atrocious. So I tried to convince my mum to write them all down for me. She wasn't having any of that. And then I went round to my friend Richard Merrill's down the road, and he'd cut them all out and put them in a little, jotter, kind of a scrapbook kind of thing. Why the hell didn't I think of that? Simple.
Well, you don't. I mean, some of these things you just don't think of as a kid. I mean, I think I first saw Action Force. I think it would have been in a Tesco. I think it was a Tesco in Truro down in Cornwall. And I think no, it wasn't so. No, sorry, it was a Toy Master shop in Falmouth. And I vividly remember it, and it was a orange Frogman.
Oh wow!
That was the first one, and I remember seeing it just on the. It wasn't something that fully registered, but I remember seeing the card and this orange Frogman, and it didn't, because at that point it was still very much Star Wars. The Star Wars figures were still the thing. So I saw it didn't register. I think it was then probably it would have been the following year. Then it would have been 83, and I saw the Shadow Track.
Okay.
And that was in Tesco in Truro, and it was just there on the shelf, this Shadow Track. And I thought, that looks really nice.
Yeah.
That is really nice. But again, it was that mid-transition phase where Star Wars was still a thing. And there were a couple of other different bits as well. So it was kind of like it wasn't still enough to actually think to myself, right, yeah, I want that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do remember thinking it was pretty cool. And then it would have been then the year after that, then 84, again, Tesco in Truro, and I saw the Escape Armor.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I want that. But then over on the shelf, on the other shelf just across, was Transformers. And it was like, and I just went to Transformers, and they got in the way.
I don't think I saw the Escape Armor as a kid on the shelf. I don't think they had it in clearance anywhere. I saw it. But
Right.
yeah, I saw it in the annual, when you got the annuals and you got the photo spread of it down the mark. They did. Yeah, it looked amazing.
So I came so close, but it was just the shininess of the Transformers that kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did have a few figures. I think the first figure that I got from Action Force was Muton. Was it Muton? Was it Muton? No, it wasn't. Sorry, no, it was the. You have to excuse me. I don't remember his name. It was kind of like it was a Z Force figure. Hood, looked like he had a hood and a black backpack.
Oh, the Infantryman.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Infantryman. I think that was the first one I got.
He's a good figure
as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't too long after that until then it was the SAS Trooper, or it could have been the SAS Trooper. I know they were very close together because I remember those two being the first two. Because I would take the backpack off the infantryman and put it on the SAS.
Yeah.
Soldier, yeah. Because then I'd put his gun in the top because it had those two tabs that tabbed at the top kind of thing. So those were mine. And I think throughout it all, I think my favourite one would be the SAS, the SAS figure. That was unless because I didn't have any Red Shadows as a kid.
Yeah,
no Red Shadows or anything. I only had Baron Ironblood out of the bad guys.
I don't think I had many good guys. I didn't have a Kraken because he was a mail away, or you did get him on card, but because I was on clearance, getting clearance stuff, I don't think I ever. But no, I think I had the Major Ironblood, one Red Shadow, because obviously, like you were saying, when the Transformers turned your head, so you didn't get the Action Force. There were kind of only so many opportunities for toys, for most kids, I suppose, at that age. So, you were always in kind of, like with Star Wars, there was always, 95 more to get, depending how far in the line you were and whatever, I suppose. And there were always more toys that, than available funds, I guess.
So out of the old Action Force stuff then, what was there a favourite character that you had?
As a kid, I think it was the Boat Patrol. With Stakeout, the SAS boat, and Stakeout.
Right. And would you also tag that in then with your vehicle? Would you say that was your favourite vehicle as well?
Yes, I think I can. I can remember my friend. I'm just nervously googling that as well, just to make sure I've got the right figure name. I've got a horrible feeling. Yeah, no, I did. I was all right. I don't know why I started doubting myself then. I got a bit worried. Everyone was going to
happens. We're old. We're old, and we can.
Yeah, that's true. My friend Richard kind of, we I say, toys weren't a weekly thing, and they weren't necessarily, but because the figures were 50p compared to kind of, probably figures were £2-3 for, a Transformers toy would have been what, £2.99 or something like that for a little.
Yeah, the mini box, they were £2.99, yeah.
£2.99, I think they were. So £3 was kind of a lot. 50p was kind of achievable every couple of weeks or something, 25p pocket money, I think I used to get. So yeah, me and my friend Richard would go into town on a Saturday, walk down into town. And I can remember one day, I think he'd been in early with his mum and dad, and he came and he knocked on the door, and he just kind of held the Boat Patrol up. And I was just kind of astounded by it, amazed by it. think that was £1.50 for that one. So yeah, he
Right.
was. I think he was amazing. Yeah, as a kid, he was my favorite.
I'm just scanning. I'm just putting them up on screen. I'm just going through a few of the Action Force figures that I've put on custom backgrounds just to as a prompt. So yeah, we've got Baron Ironblood. Where's Baron Ironblood? Yeah, we've got Baron Ironblood there, which I mean, they did make good use of the molds, did Palitoy, with these figures, didn't they? You know, that a lot of the parts were reused and repurposed.
But they were really detailed as well. You know, the sculpts they did, a lot of them.
Yeah, because the Black Major didn't they reuse that mold for, was it a mail away for Z Force?
Yeah, he was there was two kind of commanders that they did with. There was a pilot torso and then straight torso. But yeah, he was just he was just that repainted. He's pretty much a repaint of everything they did before, apart from the AK, which they borrowed from Hasbro, and the code book. So you know, nothing new, so to speak, about him. Just the paint apps. So yeah, there wasn't really an awful lot that I think they were allowed to spend on tooling for the new figures. You know.
Yeah.
Like him there,
he's pop that one up.
He's a Jones
we'd been
with a new head and a Hasbro weapon.
Yes, the Red Shadow on that. Yeah, I thought I'd just pop that one up because we did mention the snake armor. Just in case anyone's wondering, yes, the Crimson Moon figures can fit inside the snake armor. Yeah, that will look so nice in red. All that, but yeah. Anyway, let's just shut that down. Yeah, I mean, vehicle-wise, I mean, did you have were any vehicles that you had back then?
In terms of Palitoy stuff, I had the Shadow Track. I think my favourite as a kid was the base, the cardboard playset from Series 1.
Right.
That made it right the way through because once, I got so far with Palitoy and that was still on clearance and you'd still find that lots of places for quite a while after that. But then Hasbro came in, so Hasbro kind of took over really, I suppose, that shelf space and it went to, the vehicles from Hasbro took over really for me. I kind of forgot about the Shadow Track. I forgot about the Boat Patrol, and it's sad to say, and kind of the other bits that I had. Triad, I think I forgot about that. I think that all it would come out when I was playing with things, but it wouldn't be the go-to vehicle or anything else like that. I think the only thing that made it all the way through the Hasbro era was the cardboard base.
Right.
Because, that kind of the Hasbro figures fitted in perfectly with that. They could wander around the base and have a little battle. So yeah, that I think was the one thing that kind of carried on all the way through.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any of the vehicles, the Action Force vehicles. Like I say, it was just I think it was probably only about half a dozen of the figures that I had.
Yeah.
So that never got. I never, like I said, never got to that point really. But it was interesting you mentioned about the packaging changes and that, because I think when I first was the first series, was it all cardboard or was it the plastic window package in the first series?
It was plastic window packaging, and then they moved to picture boxes.
Right.
Yeah, for certain vehicles. Although some just had picture boxes, for example, like the Battle Tank just had a picture box release.
Yeah, and the Robo Skull was just all picture box, wasn't it? Yeah. So I mean, I would like to kind of get into that a little bit, but not spend too much time on it. It's like the I suppose the genesis of the Action Force stuff, because I know you've met Bob and you've chatted with Bob.
Yes, yeah.
And you've been to the conventions and things like that. I mean, when they were designing the Action Force stuff, then was it literally just a case of taking an Action Man and scaling it down and then putting it in different uniforms, or was there more to it than that?
I think the first series was just basically they took the top 12, I think it was, selling Action Men.
Yeah.
and then just scaled them down.
Right.
So, you know, they just had, obviously, you know, they had the SAS figure in Action Man, so they just created an SAS figure in Action Force, the diver, you know, the other figures. So I think it was basically just they went as simple as that and just created those figures. So it was just simple, and then they had the vehicles. Obviously, they had the AF3, 5, 7, 9, and then the base, and then pretty much everything just grew out of that. You know, that first series that you got, pretty much everything apart from what, you know, the limited resculpting that they did on a few of the heads and a few of the bits, and a few vehicles they managed to do. Obviously, the Robo School was entirely new, and what they borrowed from Hasbro, you know, it was amazing what they did with it when they moved to Series 2, really, I suppose, and what they managed to, how different they managed to make it look, considering how much of it was already there to start with.
Yeah. I wonder if they ever considered reversing them and like doing some 12-inch scale of, you know, the Baron and the Red Shadows and things like that.
Yeah, that's the. Well, yeah, I wonder. I don't think. I don't know. I've never heard anyone ask that, but that's quite an interesting topic, I suppose. You know, with Action Man, I suppose there was always kind of an awful lot more to do, really. I suppose, but you might have got quite niche in terms of uniforms and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you could have just had a uniform set, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Action Man was still going at that point. But then I suppose would it have been tricky because you'd have needed, and the Baron would have been easy to do because you could have just flopped a little beard on and done some white hair. You could have done a helmet. I suppose when you get into some of the others, you might have needed like a Red Shadow, you know. I mean, yeah, most of the others might have been fairly easy just with some outfits, I guess. The Red Shadow would have been tricky because you've got the odd, unless they did a helmet and they kind of got rid of the bit that chopped the chin off, kind of a thing, I suppose, whether they just redesigned that. That would have been good.
But yeah, I mean, the Black Major would have been easy enough as well.
Yeah.
I think really the areas that were probably, you know, would have struggled would have been characters like the Muton and Skeletron, Kraken, you know, the more kind of like, you know, science fiction.
Yeah, I wonder with Muton whether they could have just done something as simple as something that slotted over an Action Man's head or something. I don't know. Wouldn't have had
Actually,
the all kind of look to it. Maybe it might have just been fairly flat down, but you know.
Oh, didn't they do a bell diving Action Man? They did.
Yeah, I mean there was. So you could have just used that helmet.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, you could have just used that helmet and added a few accessories on.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the uniforms were there, really, weren't they? You know, everything was there. They had the German uniforms, they had British uniforms, everything they could have done. It's just, yeah.
But I suppose, really, I mean, you probably may know this better than me, but weren't Palitoy struggling by that point, like 84, 85? Wasn't that when it started?
Yeah, I mean that was obviously when, you know, kind of Action Force, they kind of took all the money away from our, you know, research and development, and they kind of basically with Action Force had to just re-release the Hasbro stuff, you know, on Action Force packaging before Hasbro then kind of came in with their, you know, just straight up American stuff, really, you know, just as it was, just with a name change. So yeah, you know, that probably would have been a nice idea, but I don't know. I don't. Palitoy was, you know, successful for a time, but I don't think, from conversations and things I've heard, you know, they were successful, but I don't think there was ever kind of times when they had lots of cash to splash around on different things, I suppose, you know, and different ideas. I get the impression it was always kind of a little bit tight. Money was tight, you know, kind of a thing.
Sorry, I'm just messing about with that because I think the batteries are going in my headset.
Oh dear.
So I was just seeing if I could get away with putting the sound on down here, but no, it's feeding back a little bit, so it won't do it. So I'll just have to make do the best I can. So, let me see now. So, I mean, with regards Action Force, then, I mean, would you say there's a healthy collecting community out there for the Action Force stuff, or do you think, or is it still pretty niche?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's kind of grown in popularity. You know, I mean, obviously, like anything did during the kind of periods where we weren't allowed out. You know, everything went a bit crazy for a while there. There were lots of people come into the hobby and I think there was kind of an influx of people from the Star Wars world, you know, with the Palitoy connection anyway, who they've got everything they wanted in Star Wars or everything they could afford, so they kind of moved into Action Force as a little bit of a connected hobby, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think it's a nice size. You know, it's kind of like a city, isn't it, where you have a London, which is your Star Wars, and then you kind of have a a small town kind of a thing. It's just about the right size, I think. Most people know each other. Most people get along, hopefully.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you know, everyone has a bit of a fallout at times. Most people get along, and I think I think it's not crazily niche that people, you know, nothing pops up. I think it's just a nice size, to be honest with you.
Right. So when you do the conventions, do you find that is it still tend to be more geared towards the GI Joe stuff rather than the Action Force?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think there is kind of, when you know, roll call, which is usually later on each year in Fordingbridge, which is an amazing show run by Dave Tree, one of the loveliest people. I think, there's kind of a more recently, so I suppose, and this isn't the moment at all because I collect the Hasbro stuff. Yeah, it's kind of more 60-40, 70-30 to the Hasbro era stuff.
Right.
But then the Palitoy things, if you're looking for a loose figure, they're still in ridiculously plentiful supply. You know, most of the figures, if you're looking for pretty much, you know, bar, you know, 50% of it is really easy to cheap to find. You know, 10-15 pounds for a complete figure.
Right.
It's just when you get into other bits that it gets a little bit more expensive. You know, some of the Series 1 figures, like a Jungle Fighter with all the accessories. You know, it's always the accessories, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is, yeah. So they are still relatively budget friendly to collect then.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. You know, depending on how hard, you know, if you're looking for a decent sized Action Force collection, you could do most of Z Force for 15, 10 and 20 quid a figure, depending on what you're looking for. You know, there's the Medic, who's a little bit more expensive with his case, and maybe the Commanders might be a little bit more with the pistol. But if you're patient, you know, something will pop up on eBay soon enough. You know, Facebook groups are great, you know, for finding things, you know, but I think sometimes now, eBay's turned into more of a buy it now marketplace rather than an auction place, hasn't it, to be honest with you? Everyone kind of sets a price for things that they want on eBay rather than, putting things up for the 99p start.
Don't just keep talking.
While you're playing with your headphones up, what else can I say?
It's okay. You keep talking, Matt.
So
while I get back on with my.
But yeah,
so
if you're looking for
I can
loose
hear
figures,
what's going on.
Loose figures can be 2 or 3 quid a figure, you know, and accessories.
I knew there'd be some gremlins this evening. But it'll be fine. It will be fine. Let me just connect back up.
But yeah, even the vehicles you can find really cheap for most of them.
Yeah. Right, I'm back. I can hear you again now.
Fantastic.
I thought it...
I was a bit worried there.
Yeah. It's all like, right, I've got to go. Matt, you'll have to carry it.
Thanks very much.
Now.
Yeah. Ed will be back at 10 with the news.
Yeah. So, right, what was I going to say? So, right. Yeah, I mean, I've not been to one of the conventions. I mean, it would be nice to attend one of them. I mean, have you found... I read something... Oh, it's probably got to be maybe about 12 months ago now that there were a few Action Force collectors that were feeling that the prices were starting to increase a bit because the Americans had kind of like got savvy to them.
I think
we're starting to pick them up.
Yeah, I think that happened during before the social distancing things that
right
and everything else like that. So I think that happened well before that point. You know, there was the G.I. Joe Red Shadow Vacation in the Shadows set, and I think that was when it kind of reached probably not peak interest, but that's when interest started to become much more widespread. So yes, you could, if you wanted to, grab a load of Red Shadow stuff, fly over to America and sell them at a premium. You know, you could put them on US Facebook groups and marketplaces and things like that for a premium, and people, because they're harder to get over there. So it's understandable.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore, and I think prices have generally dropped on Action Force stuff. The hard to find stuff is hard to find.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a robo skull now, yes, you can pick one up fairly quickly if you want to and be a little bit impatient about it, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want one, you want one. Or if you're looking for an escape armor, they always kind of at the higher end of prices as far as ridiculous prices. But if you're patient and you keep an eye out on eBay, I think there are still decent prices to be had. eBay is probably my favorite way of finding stuff now. The groups are great. Not moan about the groups,
Yeah.
But it's eBay's really, I just wish eBay was a little bit more auction oriented than it is now. Everything's buy it now, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was fortunate when I I think it was when I got back into Action Force, but when I started collecting it and picking it up, I think I'd picked up a Baron Ironblood and a couple of Red Shadows, and then the person that I got the person I got these off, a lad called Morgan, who I've known for donkey's years. He's been in the collecting game for probably about as long as what I have. We're talking like mid 90s kind of thing. So he's been around a long time, and so I got Baron and a couple of Red Shadows, and then I got the. He just kept like saying, "Oh, I've got this. Do you want this? I'm like, oh, go on then. A Black Major, and it just snowballed like that. And then one particular time, he sent me a message. He says, "Oh, he says, I've got a hyena. Do you want a hyena?" And I was like, "Oh, what's it like?" And he sent me a picture, and it was just absolutely. I don't think I've got any photos to hand ready to go. No, I don't, which is a shame. No, I don't. But it's not a problem. So yeah, they're on my Instagram anyway. If people are that interested, most people know what a hyena looks like anyway. And yeah, but it didn't have a red jackal with it.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah, it'll be right. Yeah, I can. Anyway, so I ended up getting it, and it was mint. I mean, it wasn't boxed; it was loose, but it was just really clean and crisp and tidy. So then I started hunting about for a red jackal. Dropped lucky, got one. And then it wasn't long after that. Then it was a case of, do you want a shadow track? And I'm like, oh, yeah, go on. And it just snowballed and shadow track. And it was laser exterminator, and then, but the one was, which I never expected to get. Didn't even dare to hope or dream. They said, "Do you want a robo skull?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" And I said to her, I says, "Well," I says, "Yes, I'd love one." I says, "But I'd seen what they were charging, what the prices were at that point." And I said to her, I says, "Yeah, I'd love one." I says, "But I just can't." And he were like, "No." And anyway, I will. It's ungentlemanly to speak about pricing, but yeah, I got it, and it was absolutely pristine, pristine, and it had Red Wolf with it as well. And I was just like, "That's it. I can cap it off now. I have done." Because just before that, I think it was probably about a year or 18 months before that, one of my grail items, which is going to lead on to the next part of the discussion here, was the escape armor. Oh, I lost you for a moment there, Matt.
Yeah, I was hoping that you'd lost me rather than the other way around.
Yeah. So yeah, it was the escape armor, because it was still stuck in the back of my head, from seeing it in that Tesco all those years ago, and it was like I will get around to getting one eventually. I will, and I managed to get one, and again that was really nice, great condition. Again, it was loose, but it was all complete and was really good condition, and it had a red shadow with it that was, complete, and it didn't have any rub on the shoulders or anything like that. So I was really happy with that. and that, like I said, that was one of my grails, which I was, fortunate enough to pick up. I mean, do you have was any of the Action Force stuff that you'd considered a grail that you wasn't sure you'd get, but you did end up getting?
Um, I don't know there was anything I ever. I mean, there's bits I still haven't got. There's carded figures and there's kind of box stuff and you know, no camo jammer and things like that. That I still haven't got. I don't think there's anything kind of just loose figure wise that I thought I was never going to get. I don't mean that. Hopefully that doesn't sound big headed. I don't mean it that way. Sorry, but just coming back to that point is that most of the stuff is achievably priced. Robo Skull is going to be the most expensive, but if you're a good boy for a few months and you save some money up, you can, it's affordable for me. So I'm lucky in that respect. I don't think the only thing was I think just the kind of the carded stuff or maybe box stuff that I didn't think I was going to get. Maybe like a boxed Robo Skull, that kind of thing. Lucky to have both releases boxed. But yeah, the loose stuff is kind of just with patience and time. Most of it, I think, is achievable already, I guess.
Right. So just on that subject, because you brought that up, and I was going to mention it when you said about the two versions of the Robo Skull. I've not researched this, so I don't know. But have you noted? Is there a price difference between the Palitoy one and the Hasbro one? So the enemy one and the Cobra version.
I don't think. I think the Series 3 release, the Cobra version, is probably harder to get in a box in nice condition. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. You don't see so many of them really, I suppose. I paid the same price for both of mine boxes.
Right.
That was a little bit a few years apart. I don't know. You don't see that. I think I see the Series 2 release probably a little bit more often. I guess that's the true Red Shadow release, so that probably in theory should be more valuable to the the American buyers who are probably going to spend that little bit more on it, maybe.
Yeah.
But then the Cobra version, it's got that Cobra connection for them, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to gauge for me anyway in terms of how I'm thinking about it, just because they come up boxed so infrequently.
Yeah.
The standard release, I think probably they go for about the same because it's a Robo Skull, so people just want the Robo Skull. So it's great. I'll have that one. Thank you very much.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. I picked up on that what you said there about like a Series 2, Series 3. So the series, I assume then there must have been a Series 1 Robo Skull. What was the difference between the three?
Sorry, no. So Series 1, I just mean in terms of the general releases in Palitoy.
Oh, right. Sorry.
So I mean the Action Man. Sorry,
Right. Sorry. So like the Red Shadow and the Cobra one, other than the stickers, then I take it that they're identical. It's just the stickers that are different.
I think it's not even a different production run. I think it's just overstocks that they had. Pretty much everything that carried on into that Series 3 was either carried on because it was popular or probably also carried on because they had lots of overstocks.
Right.
So, you'll see like the Hyena had obviously the Series 2 box, the Red Shadow box. Then you'll see a transition box, which is probably overstock boxes with an oversticker for Cobra logos on it.
Yeah.
With the same background from the Red Shadow release. And then you'll see a Series 3 box for the genuine Cobra release, which was it new production or was it just that they changed the box at that point? It was still the same production. I don't really know. I don't really, whether they carried on making them or not. I'm not too sure.
Were all these manufactured at Colville then, or were they just packaged there?
No, I think there was packaging there. I don't know what vehicles were made there. I don't think there was anything there. I think it was just assembled there, if anything.
Right.
Or it came in just fully boxed as well.
Yeah.
As well. But there was warehouse there, so that's maybe where they did the. That's kind of normally where you do your rework in manufacturing. So someone might have gone around with the stickers and put the stickers over the boxes that were sat there, and put it back in the boxes, I guess.
Because I mean, I find that quite interesting because at some point, they're down there at Palitoy Colville, they must have been having production lines, if you will, running concurrently. So one would have been Action Force, the other would have been Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
perhaps.
I mean, there's lots of pictures of kind of you see on the internet and Total Toy Books, Brian and Paddy.
Hmm.
They've done some amazing releases with their books in terms of production knowledge and talking to
Yeah,
people behind the scenes like Bob and lots of other people. But yeah, you from that and other things, you see kind of lots of Star Wars production images. But I guess that
yeah,
was something where they would release those to newspapers, local and national
yes,
newspapers, where they, keeping up with the demand for Christmas. This is the in toy. So, your famous one of the lady putting the AT-AT, bending the legs, that kind of thing,
yeah,
and putting figures, putting those on. Not so much Action Force, because that wasn't really, I mean, it was still a hugely popular toy.
hmm.
The number one boys' toy behind Star Wars for a period of time.
Yeah,
Um, you know, lots of people's, in lots of people's collections, just not lots of people's first choice as a kid, I guess.
hmm. Yeah, yeah. So sticking on that Holy Grail thing, then. This is more. I'm not going to ask you what your Holy Grail is, but it's just like
Mm.
more of a case of within the products of Action Force and collectors that collect Action Force stuff. Is there what are the ones that the collectors chase the most, or they want to get hold of the most?
Um, just talking loose, or we could do card
Well,
over.
just anything, whether it be vehicles or
I
test shots or figures or just whatever. Is there anything
yeah, I
with it?
mean, in terms of Action Force, so Red Shadows always sell. They're always quite popular because people always want a little bit of a bigger army. They'll always want to add one to the ranks, that kind of thing. You know, Krakens go for a bit more of a premium price wise. They weren't released as widely on card for retail. It was a mail away figure. Skeletron's a little bit more expensive as well. Minesweeper's always kind of he was probably short packed, so he was Z Force Minesweeper. He's kind of
Right.
quite a bit of a pricey figure loose, where you've got the mine sweeper and the three mines in the back. So getting one complete is always a little bit tricky. And then you've got really, I suppose, the more valuable ones that tend to kind of have increased in price. Probably, well, they probably have a little bit recently. Coming back to your comment about Americans wanting them, I suppose it's probably a little bit true about that, where they are still increasing in price a little bit. Where you've got the Hasbro re-releases and repaints. So you've got Quarrel at the lower end, and you've got Stalker, which was Snake Eyes, version 1. They're kind of the lower end of the pricing. Then you go into Red Laser, and then you go into Red Jackal, and then you've obviously got Gaucho and Jammer at the top end. Those figures. Right. They're always, finding a Gaucho in nice condition and a Jammer with little paint wear and that kind of thing. The Gaucho crotches tend to go, so finding one of those, without that orange paint wear or red paint wear, depending which variant you want. So they're very pricey ones.
I mean, I did find it quite interesting as well. It's a while ago now, but I watched a video on YouTube, and they were talking about the Action Force, the Z Force command center. The cardboard thing, and it had been an assumption by a lot of collectors that it was just a reuse of the Death Star playset, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just so much more, and
Yeah.
I found it a really fascinating watch of how different it actually was.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like it. If maybe it would have been a nice idea. I don't know if we'd have got for Series 2 when the Red Shadows came along, whether you did get just a straight repaint, not repaint, but reskin of the Death Star playset for Red Shadows. So there was kind of you had your spy base, and you had your bad guy base down the other end of the bedroom or your living room or your hall or wherever you're playing with your guardian. That would have been quite fun. But yeah, the Action Force one is quite a bit taller, I think, as well. I've probably only seen half a dozen of the Death Star ones. Death Star one's a little bit more squat, isn't it? And a little bit wider, I think.
And I like the thing about the fold-out runway as well. Oh, we've lost Matt again for a moment there. I'm sure he'll be back with us soon. Not to worry. He'll be back with us. In the meantime, what I will do is we're going to be bringing it to a close, talking about Action Force. Ah, he's back.
Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, back. No, not a problem at all, Matt. Not a problem at all. It happens. It's just one of those things. So, well, what I'll do is I'll bring it now on to. We're going to talk about you. It's all about you, and it's about Kraken Kreations. I'm going to, if you don't mind, while we're discussing this, I'm going to share your eBay page while we chat.
Yeah, sure. I just love talking about myself.
Yeah, let's. I find it's most people's favourite subject, talking about themselves. So, as I've got your page up on the screen now, your eBay page, do you want to tell us how did it start? How did you get into this thing about doing custom accessories and figures?
I mean, I suppose it obviously, people were customizing on BFTB, Blood for the Baron at the time. So, people were coming up with great ideas. So I'd copy some of those ideas or come up with my own, kind of a little bit of a rivalry, people coming up with different ideas each week or each month or something. So I guess it just developed from there, really, where I was having a conversation with someone at work one day about 3D printing. And, I kind of not really heard about it a great deal, but it started to become a thing where people could, in the near future, 3D print their own things, which just sounded so fantastical at the time, just being able to create something out of a reel of plastic, or well, it was a reel of plastic at that time. There was no resin, really, I don't think. So that then just became another avenue to kind of increase the fun with customizing. Hopefully not taking it too far from its roots and not getting too complicated with things. But yeah, just increasing the fun, and also at the same time, while I talked about Action Force being a cheap hobby, I suppose. And it is. I think there are certain things, if we compare it to Star Wars, if you want something in Star Wars that is, we're not talking some obscure thing that was released in, not an Uze turkey figure or something like that. If you want something that was in the standard range in Star Wars, there's a good chance that if you've got deep enough pockets, you could go out and get one.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly, within a few days. But then, if we are to could not get, the ATC little tiny aerial that goes on top of the turret, I've got some of those, but I've not seen one come up for sale for long enough, and it's not something you're going to be able to go out and find and buy. So, just kind of that, I suppose, kind of increased my ideas, I suppose, a little bit, as well as being able to create things. I could create an SAS Force ATC and have the little aerial and have a 3D printed replica of it. So that kind of came in, and I think a few people asked me if they'd make one, and then it kind of just grew, and a little bit from there, really, I suppose, just grew and little bit by little bit, just with ideas and thoughts and suggestions from people, really, I guess. I think I've not really, I don't think, ever made anything that hasn't been at the starting point something that I needed or wanted, really. It's not that I'm there. Obviously, I sell these things and I make a little bit of money selling them, but it's never been a, right, this will, reel the punters in, kind of get some cash in my pocket, kind of an approach to it. It's always started from something that I've got a need for, that I've got a basis to have a weapon for a figure, or a different head sculpt, or make a figure, or something like that. I guess it just so that's just grown to where we are today, I suppose, with kind of all the little bits that I make and how it helps me, really. I suppose keeps me a little bit sane, something to do. Stops me taking drugs.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've got to have an avenue for creativity. Most definitely. I've just got up on screen now the Skeletrons that you did. I think it was the silver and red. I think that was the first thing I bought from you. That silver and red Skeletron, and because I'd seen that on Instagram. I've been following you on Instagram for a bit before that, But then when I saw those, I thought, right, yep,
Hmm.
I've got to have that, and it just went from there. And I think I've had the black one from you now. I've had
Yeah.
the translucent one, and I've had the homage to which I will get the photo up of it because I think it's brilliant. The homage to R2D2 and 3PO is just that is just fantastic. I love that. That is amazing. Yeah, when I saw those, I thought, yeah, definitely, I've got to have
Mhm.
that, and not regretted it. Not regretted it. I mean, it's you know, I'm not blowing your skirt up here, Matt, but I mean, it is
Thank
good stuff. You know, the
thank you.
stuff that you do is good, and you know, I've no complaints from it or anything like that. It serves the purpose that I need it to you know, to accentuate and you know, add a little extra something to those figures, especially now with the Crimson Moon stuff. We spoke. I mean, if I get this up on the screen now, you've done the. Oh no, that's the smaller one. The MP40 for the Crimson Moon stuff. There we go. I think that's it, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, how do you? I suppose I should have asked this question with the Action Force stuff that we were talking about a moment ago. But how do you find the Action Force community? How they're receptive to the additional accessories and things like that that you do and other people do? Because I know that the Star Wars collecting community really don't like
Yeah.
it.
No,
You know,
there are
but
special
how do you
places.
find?
Sorry, there are special
No, I was
places
just
in
going to
Star
say,
Wars world you need to go and hide, really, I guess, if you want to show some of that stuff off. But I think in terms of everyone is sensible about it. You know, some people
hmm,
love it, some people um, there are quite a lot of people, you know, I suppose you get in Facebook and you go in the groups and you think you know everybody in the Action Force world, but then I see probably 4 or 5 times as many different names pop up on my eBay sales page that I've ever kind of talked to or known and spoken to. So it is
yeah,
much more, you know, kind of in any hobby, you think you know the kind of the audience, and it's much wider than that. People don't always want to post and comment and share things on Facebook. They just maybe want to enjoy it in private or whatever they do. But yeah, pretty much everyone. Sorry, it sounds like I'm going to say people haven't been, but yeah, pretty much everyone is either supportive of it. If they're not supportive of it, they're acceptive. You know, they accept it.
right,
You know, that's the thing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think, you know, that there are some groups I don't post it in because
mm,
it's not something they're happy with, and that's fine. But they know I'm there. They know I make it,
yeah,
and they know I post just other things. You know, and obviously it's not just about me selling stuff and making stuff. It's often about just helping other people or showing things off that I've bought or that, you know, other people are doing, that kind of a thing. So, you know, they know I do it, and it's accepting, and I think it's a sensible way. You might not like it, but you accept it and you just kind of
right,
go on with things, I guess, you know.
yeah. So why the name Kraken Creations? What you know?
um
What you know? What why choose that?
I can't, I think it was just that obviously, so Kraken's my favorite Action Force character.
Right.
um I also, and I think this is where Bob got the inspiration from a little bit from for the Kraken. The Kraken Wakes by John Wyndham is one of my favourite books.
Right.
Um, so I kind of stole, depending where I am and what's already been taken. So I started out with the Kraken Wakes on Instagram. I think I was
Yeah.
that there. And then when I started to kind of sell things on eBay and make things, I thought I needed a name. So I thought I'd try and go with the Kraken Wakes, but that had already gone. So
Yeah.
kept the Kraken part, and I thought just the alliteration with the Kraken with the creations with a K was quite
Yeah.
fun. It makes it sound like I think I'm some comedy genius, but it was quite nice. I thought it was all right. I'll give
Yeah.
myself 5
Yeah.
out.
Well, yeah. If you want to see Matt in stand up, he's appearing in
Yeah, yeah.
Droitwich in
I just
for
threw in
the summer
that.
season. So how do you? I mean, like I said, I mean, I am in awe of people who do 3D print stuff. It's something that fascinates me, and it's something that I would love to get into, but I just don't have the time. And I think currently, as I get older, I don't think I'd have the patience either. I think
Yeah.
so I'd end up throwing something through the window. So with regards the design process for your 3D printing, how do you go about that? Where does that start for you?
I'm a tracer. I try. If anyone's seen
Right.
Chasing Me, I'm a tracer. No,
Right.
I kind of am. So
Yeah.
so some of the bits are just direct copies.
Right.
So the Action Force aerial that for the ATC, that kind of was the first thing I ever made and sold. That was just a fairly simple thing where obviously I've got one in my hand, I can hold that up and measure it and everything else. And
Yeah.
then there's something as basic as Tinkercad, which is a really, really simple CAD program where essentially you can tell it to create a cylinder, and then you can create a cone, and then you can create a sphere and a slightly tapered cone, and then all you need to do is just merge those things. So the aerial is just a sphere at the top. It's a tapered cone, obviously very, very tall, just to get a slight taper on it. Chop it off so you've got the right measure, pop the sphere on the top so you've got a nice rounded end, add it to a different shaped cone and put a little stem cylinder on the bottom. That it's as simple as it gets, really, I suppose. It's just merging those different shapes.
Right.
And maybe not so much now, maybe 60-70%. Oh no, apart from the figures, pretty much everything is done in Tinkercad, just because it's so intuitive, it's so easy. Once you get into kind of an organic shape, if you were going to design a tree or a figure and like a Skeletron or something like that, then you're going to get into trouble. But if it's something that is structural, that is non-organic, like to a certain extent a vehicle like a Jeep, maybe not the Roboscore because it's got lots of curved shapes, it can do it all. So most of my things, apart from the figures and kind of more complex other bits, everything's done in Tinkercad. Really, really simple.
Right.
Nice learning curve to it. You just kind of learn as you go along, and there's a really nice community in that.
Yeah.
And it's just about getting some calipers and just playing around, really, I suppose. Yeah.
Right. So is the technology there then where you could scan a figure in and then 3D print it?
Yeah, a little bit. I suppose yes, you could. I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I shouldn't sound so doubtful. But yeah, there are people who will scan figures in. So there's a guy in the Star Wars hobby world called Funky McClunky.
Right.
Not to say he's just a scanner. He's not. He designs things as well. So he's taken, and there's other people as well like him. So he's taken scans of lots of the Star Wars figures, most of the Star Wars figures, I think. So he'll scan those with his 3D scanner. He will then send that to his design program, and I think from there he's probably got to do a fair amount of cleanup, because you will get some artifacts on there. So you might get a nice scan of an arm, but then you'll have some jaggy bits pointing out at various areas or something like that. So you need to clean those off, smooth those off, and then you need to do a little bit more work then, where he then chops the arms off and the legs off and the head and puts some pegs in place, really, I suppose. So you can then 3D print it, so you've got a torso and all the various limbs. And that he does that. He'll sell those scans for you, so you can go on Cults and buy those now and 3D print some. I think the thing with them is, and that's the thing against Funky McClunky, as I'll come on to it, in a way he's amazing. When you do that with a scan, and even if you just do the basic cleanup, it doesn't always look the best. It will look a little bit like if you imagine you're scanning an apple.
Yeah.
But when you scan it, it'll look like an apple, but the texture on it might be a little bit orange peely, so it'll be kind of like an orangey apple, so to speak. That's kind of the simplest way I can describe it. So when you zoom in, it won't be nice and smooth. If you look at a Palitoy figure under the microscope, apart from the flash lines and everything else, it's going to be perfectly smooth where it's been injection molded. If you were going to zoom in on one of those figures that he's scanned, you will see the imperfections as you zoom in further and further. So you can print it and it will look nice, but it won't look like an injection molded figure, or it won't look as close as you can get with 3D printing. But then he does other things where he will take the biker scout scan, for example. He will then put a rebel trooper head on it, and he will design the rebel trooper head from scratch, and that looks amazing. So that's kind of it's the scanning, not him or her. I don't know. I think it's him. Which is kind of the little bit that lets things down a little bit, I suppose. Not that's to say at the minute, you know, that it maybe in the future, you know, 3D printing was in this place a few years ago, so I'm sure scanning will catch up, and you'll have you won't need to do any cleanup whatsoever, maybe at some point.
Yeah, right. No, that's good to know, because you know my limited knowledge of it. You know, I would, I'd think, oh well, you know, can you not just like scan these in and then produce them? But obviously, you know, there is more to it than that.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, you pretty, you know, if you wanted to and you've got a little bit of basic knowledge, you could. It just wouldn't look as nice as you could make it look, I suppose, you know.
Yeah.
If you've got some stormtroopers stood at the back, you know, that you wouldn't notice. If they're at the front row, you might notice they look a little bit different, I suppose. But I don't mean to sound snooty when I say that, sorry.
No. I get it. I do. I understand what you're getting at with that. So, out of the stuff that you produce, then, what's the most popular thing that you produce? You
I suppose basically it's the longest. It's the first one I ever did. So it was the Red Shadow officer. So if you can see him particularly well in the dim, dark room of my spare room. But yeah, he was the first figure I ever made. He's kind of had a few changes over the years, but basically he was the first one, and he's kind of the more popular one because I'm not able to make enough quick enough.
Right.
Well, my other half, she will help me paint them, and yeah, it's getting the time to do it. You know, it's getting the time to make more of those. Make a new figure, make another couple of new figures. You know, I like to release a new figure when I go to roll call each year. Yeah. So, you know, it's building up some of those and keeping stock of the basic stuff as well that people order from me. You know, there's kind of, I think there's about 90 or 100. I think it's about 80 parts that I make, but then in terms of colour variations of that, I think it might go into 150 different things. So it's kind of blows up at the same time.
Yeah. So when you're doing these designs and these prints and things like that, what do you find is the biggest challenge in doing that?
I suppose starting.
Right.
Starting really, I guess, is the kind of you know, I at the minute. Well, no, I've just nearly done one now, which is a bit of a rip-off of an idea by David and a well-known Star Wars bear, tall bear. Yeah, I think starting it is really the thing. I'll put it off and I'll put it off and I'll put it off until I kind of have to start and just get on with it. And then when you're into it, I suppose it just kind of flows a little. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't it? Makes me sound like I'm trying to think I'm some kind of artist. I don't think I am at all. But just kind of you carry on and you just kind of get on with it, and it just kind of works. I suppose that's a better way of putting it. It works.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then the last one then I want to ask you about on this part then is just like future plans. Is there anything coming up in the future that you can tell us about? Is it a trade secret at the moment?
No, not really. So I've just shown you the Wookiee man. Red Wolf was the other one that I need to get on with making some more. So he's basically your Red Wolf that you got with the Robo Skull, but with a removable helmet, so we can now see his face, kind of as he appeared in the comic. I've got a grey Red Shadow Officer, which is just a basic cash grab like Hasbro. I'll get slated for it. So no, I did have the idea that the kind of the Black Major had some illegitimate son, and he's the Grey Officer. Nepotism is the baby, essentially. The other thing is, which I kind of showed a few pictures of, but I'll have for roll call, is the Robo Drone. So I kind of like the idea. Obviously, drones, you know, for some reason are quite popular in the news at the minute. I don't know why that is. I like the idea of a little drone to go with the Robo Skull. So that is when I can get the wings straight. That is the Robo Drone. So
Yeah.
a little steam.
That's the one I'm looking forward to.
So yeah, I've got the wings.
Yeah.
It's like a little big, well, they're a big Muton head, really. I suppose I kind of like the idea of the Muton head being some kind of, you know, where the Baron's reusing this technology. I suppose in applications. I quite like that.
Yeah.
I think probably
functional, serves a, it's a multi-role kind of thing. So is it going to be? Is it November for those drones?
It is. Yes, I think it's November. Maybe it's December. So yeah, there's no date announced yet, but it's usually November and December time that the show is, and then I'll get ready for that and take some to the show and hopefully be able to sell at the show. And then what's left, I sell on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. Not Marketplace.
I think I think you can expect a pre-order from myself on that.
Okay, thank you.
I do like those. When I finally get round to being able to display my Action Force stuff, they will look nice next to the the Robo Skull.
Yeah, that was the aim. Hopefully, it complements it rather than ruining it. That kind of thing.
Right. I'll just have a quick catch up with the chat, and then we'll move on to our final topic. I couldn't even tell you where we are. I mean, with that. Dave just mentioned that he thinks that Classified are doing the attack cannon or whatever it's called. No, the laser exterminator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am thinking of pre-ordering one to customize, but then I'm kind of half thinking, if they're doing a Crimson Escape armor, would they do a Crimson Howl down the line? Maybe that's a bit more tenuous. I don't know.
Martin's ground assault figure was his first Action Force figure.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing figure.
And then Dave had 2 ground assault troopers, but mainly SAS guys and a smattering of Z Force. Also had the SAS para attack guy.
Oh yeah,
I used to get told off for throwing him out of his bedroom window.
I lived in a bungalow, so I never had that kind of opportunity to chuck him out the top window or anything like that.
Yeah. Your SAS paratrooper always died before the parachute could deploy. Martin can remember him as a kid in Woolworths, Huddersfield. They were doing Meet, Baron Ironblood, and Black Major.
Oh yeah,
2 guys dressed up as them, signing Action Force carded figures.
Yeah, there were.
That's pretty cool.
Pictures of there's a few pictures. I say I've got a few pictures. I mean, I downloaded them. Yeah, a few pictures have been shared of kind of the Baron pulling up in I think it was a Rover he was driving or something like that, and outside the toy shop, and then him in the toy shop, and outside, kind of all these kids surrounding him, trying to look menacing. But yeah, the helmet was. He had a huge helmet.
Yeah. And Martin's going to say his uncle was a deep sea diver in World War II on HMS Ajax, and he wore that diver's suit. He defused mines dropped by German U-boats. That's interesting. I like a bit of that. Wasn't HMS Ajax one of the battleships that was destroyed by the not the Grafspee, the Bismarck?
I think if you were going to quiz me on it, I'd have said the Grafspee or Bismarck, but yeah. I don't know.
No, it was the Bismarck. Yeah, the Grafspee was destroyed while it was still in the fjords. It never actually got. It was. I'm pretty sure it was the Bismarck. Was it Ajax and Exeter or was it just Exeter? Or Ajax was one of the ones that helped sink it.
Yeah.
I should know this. I mean, World War II was one of my little geeky things, but it all rolls into one.
It was involved in the hunt for the Grafspee,
yeah.
Thank you.
But Dave thought Jammer Stalker. He doesn't get the Jammer and Stalker enthusiasm. He thought they were a bit naff.
Jammer particularly is a little bit boring as a figure, really. I suppose it's quite plain in terms of the sculpt.
But he does like your Red Wolf.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
With the helmet. Martin says he's definitely got to get some more Action Force figures. So, yeah. So I was just taking a smattering of the. Usually I do post when I do live stuff. I do usually post more from the chat, but with us flowing like we were, I thought I'd just try and sort of like, you know, just pick up one. But Dave's just put their Christmas robo drone. Looks like you may have a another order there. Right, we're going to go on to his final topic then, which is I know you have a love of this like I do, and that's select
Sorry, a little bit.
1980s home microcomputers.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, what was your first home micro?
First one was a Commodore 16, which I got for Christmas one year.
Right.
So that was when, so they were released. As kind of Commodore did this a couple of times, where they kind of thought about coming up with a cheap computer, and then managed to make it far more expensive than they'd originally planned, and probably more expensive than what they were looking to replace. So I think it started out at 180 in the UK.
Right.
And then they weren't selling anywhere, and then they only started to sell really in Europe and Europe with the UK. They reduced them, and then they ended up at £50, £49.99 in Currys and places like that. And I think that's when I would have got mine. I can remember one year I wanted a computer, and then I think I can remember telling my mum that I didn't want a computer anymore, by which point they probably already bought me a computer. So I got a computer. But I loved it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
So was that the? I'm just trying to think now, because my knowledge on Commodores isn't that great. But was the Commodore 16? Was that the replacement for the VIC-20?
That was. I don't think so. So I think the VIC-20 was probably. I don't know. Maybe it was. But yeah, essentially, it's just the same case as the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Just in a different color, grey and dark grey and light grey color scheme. But yeah, maybe it was. I think, yeah.
Because I know the VIC-20 was in the same case, and I think that had like kind of a. I think it was a beige case with brown and orange keys. I think the VIC-20 was. I think if I remember right.
It wasn't the nicest color scheme. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, a friend of mine that I was at school with had one, and I remember it being quite terrible. I don't think it had a lot of memory.
No, I don't think the graphics capabilities were very good either. I think it was kind of almost forced to use the graphics keys that it had. You know, like on the Commodores, they had the graphics symbols on the side of the keys. I think it was forced to use those pretty much.
Yeah, because I think it came out.
Right.
I think it was a contemporary of the ZX81. I think it was ZX80, ZX81. I think it was roughly around that time. So it was all still in its infancy. Right, yeah, Commodore 16. Mine was it was the Spectrum. I mean, I had the Philips G7000, which in America was the Magnavox, the Odyssey 2. Yeah. I had one of those briefly. It was I was given it by a cousin.
Okay.
It only had 2 games. I think they were just generic kind of Space Invader type games. But then with the street I grew up on, excuse me, everyone, we all had them. You know, the guy Stephen across the road, he had a ZX80 and a ZX81. So I had played on these early computers. But then when the Spectrum landed, it was like, yep, that's the route I'm going for. And did you stick with that Commodore then through childhood, or did you change at some point?
It did change. So I think I probably would be able to work it out at some point if I looked at the years, obviously release dates and when it was reduced. I think it might have been 2 or 3 years maybe, or something like that. So by that point, pretty much all of my friends had Spectrums. My cousin had a Spectrum, so when I go and see my auntie and cousin in Liverpool, he'd have his 48K plus. I'd play on that. That would be amazing. And yeah, so my friend had one from down the road, Richard, who had the boat patrol, who I was jealous of earlier on. So yeah, I think so. Whatever it was, how many years later? So I got a Spectrum. So by that point, Spectrum or Sinclair was Amstrad, and I got a 128K plus 2.8 in the dark grey case.
Right.
Was pretty much the tail end, because they were releasing them with the Ocean Top 10 pack or whatever it was. I can't remember quite the name.
Yeah.
Dixon's, and you also got 100 games with it as well. So you got 110 games in total. So the 10 games, the Ocean ones were in a nice box, the yellow and red box.
Yeah.
I think it was. And then the 100 games were basically just a cardboard box, a white cardboard box with a massive instruction sheet on thinnest paper folded up into a box. There were like 7 tapes in there, so were basic games, and they were very, very old.
Oh,
games.
There were absolutely terrible games.
There were some good games in there. Sorry, I don't want to be on.
The dark grade, that would have been the +2A, so that was all Amstrad architecture by that point, because the first +2s, which the grey, like the light grey one that I've got here, that was Sinclair, so that was basically the innards were pretty much the 1 to 8K plus. But then when they did the 2A and then the +3, that was when they went to the full Amstrad architecture on it.
Same board on the +3 and the +2A and the +2B, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Because when you load it up, when you first turn it on, it's got the +3 menu system in there and that. So I went from the 48K to the +2. That would have been 86. I got my +2.
Right.
I think it was either August or September, and it felt just like such a massive upgrade from the 48K. You know, sound, graphics were pretty much similar, but the colours were a bit better, and the main improvement was the sound, to be fair, and the proper like keyboard, if you will, and the data card as well. Was there a particular favourite game that you had then from back in the day?
So my favourite game, Commodore 16. There was some amazing games on it. I know it was basic and everything, but there were some really, really, really good games. Fingers Malone was probably my favourite. So basically, it was like one of those levels games where you had to travel all the way across the levels, colour in the levels, that kind of thing. Go up and down these little elevators. Essentially, you were supposed to robbing a bank and avoiding the bad guys from being, so you had to collect all the floor space and then go up to the next level and not get eaten by the bad guys, and go up in little lifts and things as well. That was amazing. I still play that from time to time now. On the Spectrum, I guess most of it was a little bit coloured by my cousin's games that he had, going there once a year, maybe twice a year. So Bruce Lee, Wheelie, Cyclone. Cyclone's
Wheelie.
Cyclone.
Yeah.
School Days. Although he never let me put the names in for the teachers. He said it takes too long, and it does take too long. He's right.
Right.
But yeah, School Days was good. And then I suppose when I got my Spectrum and kind of later on in that period, I know it's a cliche, but RoboCop, an amazing game. Batman, the Batman the movie game, should I say? Cape Crusader.
Yeah.
Well, and the not such a fan of the isometric one. I'm just looking up on my Colony as well. How can I forget Colony? Colony was brilliant. And Horace games and nighttime games as well. They were good. Spellbound series.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, people know, as I do tend to remind people very regularly, I'm kind of like a Spectrum version of a vegan. You'll always know who's a vegan because they will tell you that they're a vegan.
Yeah.
Whereas with me, I will always tell you that Manic Miner is the best game made ever. It's still. I mean, I enjoy modern gaming, but Manic Miner is still the best.
I could never have the patience for that when I was a kid. And I was terrible at it, probably because I just wasn't patient enough. I played it recently when I got my Spectrum again, and I enjoy it much more now, and I'm much better at it now.
Yeah.
So I got kind of not anywhere near completing it, obviously, depending which version you've got, whether you can complete it. But yeah, I got into 10 or 15 rooms or something, which was, compared to when I was a kid, we probably got to the second or third room,
Yeah.
Chucky Egg.
So
Chucky Egg. I'm excited. Sorry, I've just remembered Chucky Egg. I got all excited.
Oh yeah. Chucky Eggs. Yeah, Chucky Eggs a great one. The first one is very much an arcade game,
Mm.
and it's one of those that you can just drop in, play
Yeah.
for 10 minutes, and then drop out. But then when you get to Chucky, I mean, there's a lot of people I know that love Chucky Egg, but don't like Chucky Egg 2.
Yeah.
I do like Chucky Egg 2. It takes a lot of inspiration from Jet Set Willy, but I still think it's a great game. But it's a game that you need to sit down and spend a lot of time on. It's not just a drop in, do a couple of levels, and then
Yeah.
check out kind of thing.
Yeah.
So back in the day, then, I mean,
Mm.
with the computer side, did you bother subscribing or picking up any of the computer magazines or anything like that?
I did. So I would get as many as I could afford. You know, what were they? Were they like 125, 149? They kept going up, obviously, and the page count kept
Yeah.
increasing. I think that seems to be like 125 to start with when you got a tape on them. So yeah, I tried to get your Sinclair and Sinclair User. There wasn't a Commodore 16 magazine, surprisingly enough. Or you know, so I'd always try and get. I think Sinclair User was my favourite, and then I'd always try and get your Sinclair if I could, because it was a monthly cycle, wasn't it, for those?
Yeah.
So I could probably stretch to it if they were still on the shelves after a couple of weeks, you know. And then if I had some spare cash, I probably would have bought Crash.
Right.
But by that point, Crash was kind of a bit of a shadow of its former self, really. It wasn't the magazine. It was chasing the cover tape wars kind of a thing. So you, by that point, you've got the cover tape on those and the games and things on there, and it was very, very thin.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as good as it used to be.
No, I didn't get them. Basically because I was already, so we're talking what 82 through to 86.
Yeah.
I was getting the Beano. I was still in the Beano. Yeah. But also as well, then the Transformers comic.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know, so it was a case of it was either or either.
Yeah.
So I chose the only ones I would get on very, very occasionally would be when they had cover tapes.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, I think the best one that I ever got, a cover tape game, was it was a game called People of Sirius, and it was a US Gold game. It was an actual full game, because most of the time they were just demos.
Yes.
This was actually a fully realized complete game. And it wasn't a bad game either. It was a good game. But that would have been, I think that would have been 80, maybe 87, I think it was. It was definitely one that I got. It was when I had the +2, and it had great sound and music with it.
Yeah.
You know, which made it all the better. This one's a quick one for you. Were you a keys person or a joystick person?
Keys all the way. I would have never. I could never have owned a Commodore 64. I didn't know at the time, but so many Commodore 64 games are joystick only, which just seems crazy to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I bought a Commodore 64 recently, so I'd got kind of the full Spectrum Amstrad Commodore kind of main 8 bits with you, I suppose. And I got a Kung Fu flash card. There were so many games that were just joystick only that I wanted to play, try what Bruce Lee was like or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same. I'm QAOP&M.
And then when it was always EDIO. I don't know why. If you could redefine, I'd always go for EDIO. I don't know why that was. It's just a little bit closer together. Yeah, a little bit closer to the space bar, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I was always, like I said, when it was the rubber key, it was QAOP&M.
Yes,
And then when I got to the +2, it was QAOP and spacebar.
Yeah.
I could never play on a joystick. It was just, I did try back in the day. I did have one. I had the Spectra Video Quick Shot 2. That was my favourite joystick back then, which I have one just here.
Yeah.
So that is still my joystick of choice. But the only time that got used was with Daley Thompson's Decathlon.
I was going to say, that was much an easier way of doing it, wasn't it?
But no, still, even now, which leads me on to the final part, like question of this brief home micro thing, is, are you still playing? Do you still fire them up from time to time and have a go?
I do. Well, I do at the minute, yes. Hopefully that will continue, because I went on a bit of a spree last year, maybe September, October, November time. So I got a Spectrum, and I started off getting an Amstrad CPC 464, which is behind me.
Yeah, which I can see. Yeah, they're behind you.
Spectrum, and then I got the Commodore, and then not too long ago I managed to find the BBC. So I never obviously had a BBC as a kid, but played it at school.
Right.
So yeah, just basically been playing and exploring those, that where you'll compare Chucky Egg on the Spectrum versus the Amstrad versus the BBC.
Yeah.
Thing. Spectrum first and best, obviously. Yeah, I am at the minute. In terms of those.
Yeah.
And in terms of, I don't play on my Xbox. I've got an Xbox Series X. I don't play on that as much as I should do, really, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, only the posh kids when I was a kid had the BBC.
Yes. Yeah.
So, the rest of us peasants just had a Spectrum. But yeah, again, like I said, where the street that I grew up on, it was just such an eclectic mix. There was probably about a dozen of us that were all of that right age for it to land. We were like, I think the youngest was 8 and the eldest was 16. So it was just, so it was a mix of Spectrum 48K, Spectrum Pluses. There were BBC, there were Iacon, Atmos.
Oh wow!
It was Iacon Electron.
Yeah.
Because it was by the time the Amstrad CPC 464 came along, that turned up late to the party, really.
It was a little bit late, yeah.
And it was far more popular in France than what it was over here. But I'm a bit of a geek and nerd about this thing. But when I looked into it and I did a bit of reading up on it, if the CPC 464 had come out maybe 83, it probably would have cleared up. It probably would have won that kind of, just because it was the full package.
Yeah.
I think it'd still have been pretty close with the Spectrum. I mean, the Spectrum was the bestseller within the UK, but because it was just the whole package, like I say, I think it would have had a good run at it. And a lot of the games for the Amstrad were just recodes of Spectrum games. Anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, which I kind of discovered when I was doing that thing, like I talked about, when you're comparing the games and seeing what was X like versus X on a different system, kind of a thing. Yeah.
I still play. I've got my +2 here, which is, it's always out if I ever, and I've got a TV just off screen here that I'll play when I've also got my selection of 48Ks, which I'll just plug in, and I've got a Fuse emulator on the PC as well. So yeah, I don't play as often as what I'd like to, but when I get the chance, I'll Manic Miner for 10 minutes, or even Excellent. Excellent's an excellent game. I love that, and RoboCop as well, and the Batman '89. I was thinking about the RoboCop, funny enough, a few days ago. I know you mentioned it earlier. I was doing some work in the kitchen, and I had my phone on YouTube, just like on like a random playlist. And this is probably the thing, I'm really sad, but I don't care. Je ne sais pas pourquoi by Kylie Minogue came on, yeah. And I was literally transported back to 1988 because on Christmas like I said, I got the +2 in '86.
Yeah.
But the Christmas '88, I got RoboCop, and I also got Kylie's first album.
Wow.
So I'm there in my bedroom playing RoboCop, and because it's got an attached data recorder, I had the cassette of Kylie's album playing while I'm playing RoboCop. So that song came on, and I was back in '88 again. I was 14 years old again, playing on RoboCop. But it was just it was brilliant, But yeah, it's a great game. I played it recently on I've got the Amiga Mini.
Yeah.
And I played it on that, and it's like playing the arcade version.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's good, but there's still just something different and good about the Spectrum version.
that's what I was surprised about the Amiga version, because I thought I'd play that and it would just be the Spectrum version, but with better graphics,
Yeah.
better sound. But it's not. It's kind of, you don't get your gun, do you, until you're punching to start with, that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's completely different. What's going on here?
Yeah, yeah. It, like I say, it's more akin to the arcade version. Yeah. So right. Well, I think I'm just looking at the time now, 10:05. So I think we'll wrap up on that home micro thing. I'll just quickly say for 5 minutes, just see if anyone in the chat wants to throw a question or two at us. We'll give you 5 minutes, and if not, then I think we'll wrap up and call it a night.
Sure.
Is there anything else you want to add, Matt, or quickly?
No.
Discuss
Hopefully,
while we're waiting?
hopefully we kind of it's been interesting for people to listen to, or hopefully we've been an aid to people staying awake for the England match at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh yes, there is.
Helped, I don't know.
Yeah, I still haven't decided if I'm going to stop up and watch it yet.
Okay.
I'm still on the fence with it a bit at the moment. I mean, to be fair, I mean it's one of those things where, constrained by time, I try to keep them to a maximum of 2 hours. But I really would like to go back and talk more about the actual Action Force stuff, and the inspirations for the designs and the logistics of it all, and the manufacturing, things like that, because I think there's more to more meat on the bones for that subject to talk about, because that I do find all that kind of stuff fascinating. So but no, to be fair, it doesn't look like we're getting any questions thrown at us. We're just getting comments about people's memories. I'll just I'll see if I can drop in a few. So Dave from Toys Life was a bit young for the Commodore 16, but it was all just to learn about these kind of things. Yep, no worries. Martin was a Spectrum guy. Dave was an Atari 800 XL. Oh, we've got Gareth and one of his usual positive comments. Bless him. I tease. He had a Vic 20 and it was a piece of shit. He had one as a kid, but he couldn't get it. He couldn't do out with it, and so his mum didn't bother buying him another one after that. I think it's one of those things. It was one of those things. I mean, I knew people that I grew up with that had Spectrums, and past playing games, they just didn't have a clue what to do with them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You use the machinery to what you want it to use it for. So Martin's quoted that line from Micro Men. But it's just it instead of the F bomb, he's put bloody their Jet Set Willie. Yeah. Dave had an Atari, then a Commodore 64. His father passed away. Oh, sorry about that, and didn't have another computer then until the 2000s. And then other Dave. There's many Daves within this bunch of reprobates. He had an Amiga 500. Dave also had Amiga 500, a Sega Mega Drive, and a Mega CD, and PlayStation 360. He's not played anything else since the Xbox. Dave also had an N64 and played GoldenEye. Let's see now. Dave liked Kickstart on the C64. And then, where are we now? I think, no, I think that's it. That's it. I think we're, it was just all, Dave's saying that he could, he'd be buying up some of those Crimson Moon figures.
Awesome.
Oh, actually, no, we've got one from Martin, bless him. So, question is, if you could keep only one Action Force figure and vehicle, what would it be and why?
Oh,
I know what mine would be.
I mean, hopefully it's not a fire, because I'm not very quick at making the decision on which one to grab and run out with.
That was on the Collector's Archive, that one. This is not the Collector's Archive.
I think, saying what I did about the Boat Patrol, I think it would be the Boat Patrol and Stakeout.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's other figures that I like better, but I think just those kind of childhood memories, I think that one's probably got the strongest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be so easy, I think, for me to say the Robo Skull because it is
Yes,
such an iconic
yeah.
toy.
Yeah.
But I think I think it'd have to be the escape armor.
Yeah.
Because
I was
I
thinking
have that.
saying that myself, but yeah, I went for the Boat Patrol.
You know, because I have that nostalgic connection from the past to it. Even though I didn't have it, I still have that connection of just seeing it there in Tesco on the shelf. And thinking I'll get round to you, I'll get round to you, but never did. So I think it would. It would be that. It would be the escape armor. But I suppose if we could be a bit greedy and keep two, then the Robo Skull would be in there. Yeah, it was like Robo Skull and escape armor. So yeah, right, okay then. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night then on that one. So all I'm going to say is I'm going to refer to my notes again now. I need my reading glasses on though, because I am old and eyes are failing. Where are we now? So, Matt, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's amazing that I need to have that written down. That should really just come off the top of my head. And I want to thank everyone that joined us in the live chat and asked such great questions. You can tell that I wrote this before the interview. And all I'll say is if you enjoyed tonight's stream, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Keep an eye out on the Vaults of Iacon website and social media for more reviews, articles, and future live streams. If you like the stuff that Matt, I've got Dave's in the head now. The stuff that Matt does, you can find Dave. I've done it again. You can find Matt. I've had enough of Dave's. There's too many Daves. You can find Matt. So we can find you on Instagram where you post your stuff and Facebook where you post the pictures. Yeah.
Yes.
We've then got eBay and Etsy for purchasing options. Is that right?
Yes. So I'm _Kraken_Wakes on Instagram, which is kind of my main posting place, really. I suppose everything gets mirrored across to Facebook. But yeah, that's normally where I'm posting stuff on there. And then everything else is kind of in my bio for anything else.
Fantastic. Right then, with that then, I will say is, Matt, thank you very much indeed for your company this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure and I've enjoyed chatting with you. I hope everyone else has too.
It's been great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. And I will just finish that off by saying, I've been Ed. This has been the Vaults of Iacon. That was Out of the Vault live with Matt from Kraken Kreations. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves and we'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.